is in session. I beg that the minutes of the meeting held on Friday, the 12th of December 2025 to be deferred.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that the aforesaid minutes be deferred.
Second.
The question is that the said minutes be deferred. All those in favor, please say aye. All those against, please say no. I think the ayes have it.
Announcements by Your Honor, the Deputy Speaker. Messages from His Excellency the President, petitions, papers, government notices, private members' notices, notices of questions, reports from select committees, first readings of bills, statements by ministers, congratulatory and/or obituary speeches, personal explanations, motions for leave of absence, oral replies to questions, notices of motions for the adjournment of the House on matters of urgent public importance, orders of the day.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I beg to move the suspension of standing orders 6, 16, 18, 20, 42 subsection 5, 43, and 44 for the remainder of the day's sitting.
I beg that the said mentioned starting orders be suspended for the day. All those in favor, please say aye. All those against, please say no. I think the ayes have it. Government business is the order of the day.
Order number 10, sir. In the name of the... 10 minutes? Okay.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I beg to move the suspension of the House until 10:45.
The question is that the House be suspended until 10:45. All those in favor, please say aye. All those against, please say no. This House now stands suspended until 10:45 a.m. Thank you.
substantially improved the condition and benefits of policemen who were detectives, with allowances ranging from $1,961 to $2,269 per month being given to those officers to allow them to carry out their job in this country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, they would have rationalized it, and previously there was a duty allowance and a detective allowance, but these allowances that have all been subsumed in the criminal investigation allowance, given the numbers that I just referred to, and making it different. I am not deaf, and I know that there is a need to be able to look at those who are in uniform, and I'm assuring them that theirs will be dealt with in the regrading exercise, which is virtually coming to an end, and I expect during 2026 that those matters will be remedied. Equally, sir, we created the post of a senior constable, and on the 3rd of September this year, just under 300 persons would have been appointed with the designation of senior constable. And I know, simply because even a number of officers who work in the precincts of this Parliament were very proud to show the new designation on their chests, as well as smiling at the little increase also that would have made their pockets a little fuller than it had been before. These are police officers who were serving for 20 years or more, and we felt that it was important to be able to ensure that they have recognized the experience that they have garnered, and with the requisite experience, obviously the requisite pay to show our appreciation for their continued hard work in these areas. In addition, we would have also made provision for the special constables. I think it was about 40? How many of them were? 46 of special constables who, with 3 years or more, have immediately become police constables. This is a government that is listening to people and seeing people and feeling their circumstances, and felt very strongly that there was no need for them to continue only as special constables, because they knew, and in many instances had gone through the same drills as police constables. Their initial training is less, but working in the job for the 3 years or more, and in this particular instance, many of them even had more than 10 years. They were therefore more than equipped to become police constables in Barbados, and we are happy for them to have made that transition. In addition to that, over the course of the last few years, because of the increases in the minimum wage, the national and sectoral minimum wage order, that would have meant an increase in fees being paid to island constables. Island constables, when we came into office, I don't think they were even receiving the national minimum wage. In 2021, when we introduced it, they went to $8.50, and that was a mistake, and it was corrected almost immediately, because then it realized within 3 months they really should have been getting the $9.25 per hour and not the $8.50. That correction was made, and then of course they have gone to the new amount, which is now $11.43 in accordance with the minimum wage order, which was put in place from the 1st of June. And may I say, as it relates to this 2% increase, let us go back to the words of the Honourable Member for Christchurch East Central when he delivered the budget this year. He made it absolutely clear that the minimum wage, like the national insurance insurable earnings limit, will be increased every year by 2%, without prejudice to the fact that the minimum wage board will review the adequacy of the wages every 3 years. So in the same way, and most people, I'm learning more and more that there's a lot that is done in this country that the majority of Barbadians do not know. For decades, we have been adjusting the pension of the NIS every year in January by 2% without prejudice to any further decisions that are made periodically to right-size those adjustments. We are doing the same thing with the national minimum wage. And I find it curious because this is a country, before with this government, chose to introduce the minimum wage. No government before, neither Barbados Labour Party nor Democratic Labour Party, felt it possible to introduce a minimum wage in this country, because they told you that if you introduce a minimum wage, it's going to break the businesses and all the shops are going to close down and larger enterprises are going to close down. Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, we have had a national minimum wage in this country now for 4.5 years and nothing has imploded. So when persons now want to come and ridicule the efforts that have been made to be able to right size and to put in place, would I like it to be more? Of course I would. And we're going to continue to make Barbados stronger and make this economy stronger so that we can continue to make those wages and to ensure that they are truly livable wages as we go forward. And that is the commitment that I give you in this chamber, recognizing that this government's record on improvement of terms and conditions of workers, as well as public servants in particular, has been better than almost any other government since independence in this country. And you know why this stands out, Mr. Deputy Speaker? Because we've done this while being in the IMF program for 6 of the 7.5 years. There are others who would say, because I'm in an IMF program, I can't give you a wage increase. Because I'm in an IMF program, I can't establish a national minimum wage. Because I'm in an IMF program, I could not do the changes that we did to the police and the various other people that we were doing. We have been the opposite. We have said that because we were in an IMF program, we recognize that the most important foundation is people protection and people promotion. And that has been core to the Barbados Economic Recovery and Transformation Program, otherwise known as the BERT program. So I am very, very clear that this is something that we are proud of. With respect to watchmen, they work for 12 hours and their session increase. They have gone from $117.60 to $137.60 for every 12-hour session. In other words, an increase of $19.56 virtually for every day that they go to work, which when multiplied by the 5 or 6 days that they're working is a substantive increase. Similarly, we have also seen the increase in fees being paid to board chairmen and members of board committees and commissions. All of these things had not been increased for over 15 years. We have also increased the stipends for the summer internship program, which is before us, and those are people, every year the government of Barbados helps take in people from secondary schools or community college or the Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute or university students. And those had not been increased since 2007 for 18 years. And we have now brought that back into some level of decency. Mr. Deputy Speaker, when I spoke in the budget in 2024, I spoke about the importance of a long leave policy for the nursing profession and also a number of other matters pertaining to personal and leave days. Those are now being finally completed. With respect to the long leave policy for the nursing profession, I anticipate that we will have a meeting in the next few weeks. We have more or less settled what is there, but we want, before final announcement, to be able to communicate and work with the Nurses Association to make sure that we're all on the same page. With respect to the teachers, I took the liberty of speaking to both the General Secretary of the Barbados Union of Teachers and the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union in the last 24 hours, and I've indicated that the government is now in a position to bring this long and vexatious matter to closure, recognizing that there will obviously be need to put in place the long-anticipated reintroduction of long leave for teachers, and we want to do it from 2026. And therefore, I expect that the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Public Service, and the Ministry of Finance will have their initial meeting before the end of this year so that we can bring to closure what has been regrettably a period of absence of access to that. I suspect we will find a new name for it. Long leave tends to have implications from a colonial era with leave passage. We are not looking to do that. We want a new name for it, and the government has signified to the Ministry of Education, and hopefully we will say to the unions, let us come up with a name that recognizes that this is a case of persons needing respite and recharge to avoid burnout, particularly where there is that long, continuous exchange dealing with people's burdens and problems in some instances, and in other instances, just dealing with the reality of people coming at you all day, every day, for a continuous period of time. People are human, and people need sometimes to step back, recharge, and come again. You may want to say the same thing to politicians sometimes too, except that they may get permanent leave and not long leave, especially when you don't behave properly. The bereavement and compassionate leave is also being settled shortly. So I anticipate that these things will make a huge difference to the continued type of work that we are doing in the country to make lives easier. At the same time, I say simply to all of us, and that means all of us in here, as well as all of the public service, we are living in a very challenging world. And if ever there was a time for all of us to step up to the plate and to put more in to ensure that our shoulders go further to the wheel, it is now. Because nobody owes us a living. And the truth is that more and more, the major conversations that are taking place internationally are about war and rumors of war. We are already in a man-made war with nature, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And our country must not be lulled into a false sense of security because of the fact that the government has been able to shield the majority of Barbadians from the worst of the ravages of the climate crisis thus far, from the worst of the ravages of the supply disruption. We have had consequences, but it is not as bad as it could otherwise be. From the worst of the ravages of the cost of living increases, and today is not a day to go through all of that. But we have tried our best to be able to shield Barbadians as best we can. The reality, however, is that there are some things that may be beyond our capacity, particularly as a small state, as a small open economy. And in those circumstances, as we saw even recently with the OECD, the removal of policy flexibility and options is something that will continue to be developed. I will speak further on these issues over the course of the next few months because it is a continuous reality that we face, and we need to be aware that when outside is overcast, you cannot go outside in a pair of slippers and with no umbrella and expect not to get wet. That is the bald reality. We are living in a completely different world. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, with these few words, I really ask this honorable chamber to join me in being able to bring some joy to the lives of those who are public servants in this country and who have been awaiting their appointments for some period of time. Next week is Christmas, and I hope that this will bring some smiles and a little cheer on people's faces, recognizing that the government will work with them. At the same time, we will ask people to step up to the plate and ensure that the things that we must do as a government to continue to deliver services to the people of this country continue to improve. I've said over and over that we must do the large transformational things while remaining focused on the small things that literally can cause people to be irritated and can affect how people are able to cope in their daily lives. We are not perfect, but I'm satisfied that this government has been doing a good job in making a difference to the lives of the people. This is the same class of persons who in 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018 looked for 1 cent, 10 cents, 21 cents, $10, $20, $100 in increases, and nothing came because of an inability of the Democratic Labour Party to see people, hear people, and feel people in the public service to ensure that they continue to be valued and continue to understand that they were also to be the beneficiaries of any kind of benefit that we have in any kind of growth in this country. Mercifully, this country has now seen 17 straight quarters of economic growth with unemployment at its lowest ever. And while we cannot play fast and loose with this economy, we have done enough to ensure that we are growing, and that as we grow, we carry people along with us. The Solidarity Allowance earlier this year was a mechanism by which we wanted to say thank you, and we did so, not just to the workers of the country, but to all Barbadians who helped us, because we said early, share the burden, share the bounty. And that will continue to be the philosophy of the administration that I lead as the government of Barbados today. With those few words, sir, I beg to move that this bill be read a second time. Thank you.
Beg to second that.
Leader of the opposition.
I thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I think the government has become used to hearing me say in reply that I take good notes. Today, particularly, has been no exception. And it is good that the Honourable Prime Minister has come to the Parliament in the hope of rescuing a government at this 11th hour with this amendment to the Constitution. Today I am going to be perhaps more technical and academic than political, but you, sir, will be disappointed if I'm not political. But since it is an amendment to the Constitution, I am obliged to say that I will be academic insofar as we are, well, insofar as the government is amending the Constitution. And I think the public is always due some explanation as to the significance of constitutional amendments as opposed to mere legislation, which tends to be the business of the day from Tuesday to Tuesday, and in recent times, including Fridays. Now, I want to begin where the Honourable Prime Minister ended. And before the Honourable Prime Minister uttered the words in closing, I was reflecting that the speech following on the notice of the amendment sounded pre-election. But this is a body that passes law under the Constitution, and strictly speaking, issues of electioneering do not dominate in here. But permit me to quote the Honourable Prime Minister when she said that today's measure, and I quote, will bring joy to public servants. And where is that joy? That joy, succinctly stated, involves